He was born in Alameda, California, just before the dawning of the 20th century. His mother raised him while his father left them to chase dreams of gold in Alaska. Within 3 years, they would be rejoined in the frontier town of Nome, where he was forced to write that he was the shortest student in the town's one-room school. But if he never grew very tall, he would rise over the years to the stature of national hero. He would achieve world recognition as the holder of speed records and earn the Medal of Honor. His contributions to aviation revolutionized the industry. His name was Jimmy Doolittle, and he is a legend of air power. Doolittle was selected to devise a plan to carry the war to Japan. His solution was to select 18 Army Air Corps bomber crews and train them in B-25 bombers to do the impossible. Operating in complete secrecy, they trained at Eglin, Florida, learning how to force a fully loaded B-25 airborne in less than 400 feet. In March, the crews flew their bombers cross-country to San Francisco, where they were loaded aboard the aircraft carrier USS Hornet and lashed to its wooden deck. Even then, the crews didn't know where they were going or their specific mission. If they were lucky, and the Japanese didn't discover them first, they would strike the first offensive blow against the Empire of Japan. At a point roughly 400 miles from Japan, they would launch their planes off the carrier. For Jimmy Doolittle, there could be just one destination: Tokyo. April 18, 1942. Doolittle's Raiders have enough fuel aboard for an 850-mile round trip. The plan calls for the planes and crews to make their bomb runs, scatter, and then return to a rendezvous point where they can ditch their planes close to the task force and be recovered. But a lookout plane spots a Japanese fishing boat. Has it seen the Hornet and transmitted their position? The order is given to destroy the boat. Doolittle knows their best advantage is surprise, and it's possible they struck quickly enough. But he cannot risk the mission on that guess. Despite being over 800 miles from the target, the extreme range of these planes, he gives the order. There will be no pickup by the Navy now. Now they must make their runs and then push on for China, hoping to land their planes safely, hope to find sympathetic Chinese forces rather than Japanese troops along the coastline. Hope to survive until they can regroup and get back. One by one, the B-25 Mitchells run up their engines, wobble forward, and lurch into the air. Doolittle knows the odds, and like so many other times in his career, he knows there are no alternatives. They have a mission, they have their orders, they go. The Japanese are so confident in their security, there is no fighter cover.
Thus, the bombers were virtually unopposed as they flew on the deck. They swept in over the coast on their way to Tokyo. Elements separated and some climbed to 1,500 feet for the bombing. At 12:15, the attack was opened by Doolittle, who dove in before he unloaded his incendiaries upon the Japanese capital. Checked off their targets. Tank factory, shipyard, docks, railroad yards, steel plant, gunpowder factory.
Surprise is complete. The shock is devastating to the Japanese. Tokyo has been bombed. The lift to American morale is without measure. Doolittle has done it again.
One purpose was to give the folks at home the first good news that we had had in World War II.
Doolittle himself is not pleased. Downed in China, his crews are missing. 2 broke orders and landed in the Soviet Union in Vladivostok. They're taken prisoner and remain in Soviet hands for over a year. Many crash land and are injured. One has a leg amputated. All of the aircraft are lost. On this, his first mission as a combat commander, Doolittle is sure the mission has been a disaster.
He felt he was a failure. It caused them to bring back their fighter units to defend the Japanese islands and change their strategy in the Pacific. And changing their strategy led them to believe that they should capture Midway Island, and in that great battle they lost. So that could be said that the Tokyo raid by Jimmy Doolittle and his raiders was the beginning of the end.
President Roosevelt awards him the Medal of Honor and promotes him to Brigadier General. Doolittle is astonished. Accepting the medal in the name of his crews, he says to the president, "I will spend the rest of my life trying to earn this medal." At an AFA dinner held at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, President Ronald Reagan paid this tribute to Jimmy Doolittle.
Will you join me in a toast to a magnificent American, a man whose name will be remembered as long as the virtues of valor and patriotism last? Jimmy Doolittle.
And in June 1985, President Reagan awarded Doolittle his 4th star. Jimmy Doolittle died on September 27th, 1993, and was buried at Arlington National Cemetery. 2 years later, the Air Force Association dedicated this statue of him in the lobby of the association's headquarters.
The statue of General James H. Doolittle commemorates a lifetime of achievements. It has been written that General Doolittle led one of the most useful lives in American history. I'm sure all of here would certainly agree. His achievements range from the practical to the theoretical. The general once explained his philosophy of life by saying, "I believe we were put here on earth for a purpose, to make it, within our capabilities, a better place in which to live." The world is a better place thanks to this unique individual. I am sure I speak for all of us here today, and when I say how proud the Air Force Association is to have a constant reminder in the likeness of this man of wisdom, of humor, and of warm humanity. This legend in his time and ours.
Doolittle literally had a hand in aeronautics all the way from the very earliest days of the open cockpit biplane, indeed the open framework biplane, all the way up to the first efforts to put man into space. You look at him, this short little guy, and he was truly a giant.
And a legend of air power.